This is NASCAR Coast to Coast, brought to you by Hercules Tires, right on our strength, and by Grunt Style. Now, with all the news from NASCAR touring, local and international series racing, here are Kyle Rickey and Hannah Newhouse.
The Modifieds are back on track this weekend in New York, and Tagliani comes out on top of a very competitive Pinty's race north of the border. Welcome to NASCAR Coast to Coast for Wednesday, August 29th, 2018. Kyle Rickey joined by Hannah Newhouse. Both of us back from the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park in Bowmanville, Ontario, Canada. Both of us able to figure out those machines to get back in the country the other morning to get out of the Toronto airport, but we're back safely. Hannah, how was your first experience to the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park?
That was actually my first trip to Canada as a whole, so what a first way to do it, to get to go to a racetrack. But it was a phenomenal facility, and I'd heard it before from a couple of our Pinty's drivers. Canadian race fans are unlike any else. Like, they were so excited to be there. It was a packed facility, and then the Pinty's race was awesome. They put on a great competitive race, followed up by what I'm sure everyone has seen, the truck finish for the Camping World Truck Series. So overall, it was just a super good weekend in Canada and great racing at a great facility.
Great crowd the entire weekend, even in the rain on Saturday. More about the Pinty's race in a moment, but you mentioned the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race, the Chevrolet Silverado 250, as heard here on the Motor Racing Network. Former NASCAR K&N Pro Series East champion Justin Haley picking up the win after two-time K&N West champion and former K&N standout. You got Noah Gragson and Todd Gilliland in there. Coming together in the final corner of the final lap, you got to interview them both. After the race, there were several opinions about the incident, like 1, 2, 3, 4 opinions. What was your kind of takeaway of that final lap?
I mean, that going into that last lap, Todd Gilliland had checked out, and everyone had that expectation of that absolute mayhem to break loose on the last lap because we've seen it in every single race prior to. But man, like, you look at the situation, I can totally see Todd's side as a racer, but I can also totally see Noah's side because Todd isn't in it for the points. He wants the win. He was driving conservatively because when you have that, position, ultimately your spotter's probably in your ear going, okay, just keep it under control and get through this last lap. Noah, who's a playoff driver trying to get that win to secure himself in the playoffs, ultimately they're both just racing for that win. And man, I see both sides of Noah giving it everything he has, but Todd also being mad because he gave a little but not enough. So I really don't think there was a wrong situation. It just is unfortunate for both of them, but congratulations to Justin Haley. We just saw pretty much the K&N Pro Series show that that's a perfect funnel into the Camping World Truck Series with how the race went this weekend.
Yeah, most of the drivers in the top 5 graduates from the NASCAR K&N Pro Series. Prior to the trucks, however, the NASCAR Pinty's ran their Total Quartz 200. You mentioned that race a moment ago. A fantastic race that saw 5 different leaders, 6 lead changes, and when all was said and done, Alex Tagliani claiming his second win of the season, coming out on top there. Not easy, though, for him, Hannah. A very competitive race. The top 6 cars literally glued together, nose to tail, for the last at least 10 or 12 laps of that event.
It really was, and a lot of it, when you look back at it too, they talked about how pit strategy played a lot into it. But the Pinty Series is such a competitive thing. I mean, you've got 5-6 drivers every single week that have a chance to win. You look at, rookie Cole Powell, who's up there in the point standing. I think he's 3rd now. I mean, they were all neck and neck, and it's not like you see some of maybe the upper divisions where when they're neck and neck, they're not really touching, a little rub and racing here. These guys were pushing each other around the racetrack, like almost pulling slide jobs on a road course, the top 6 were, and the fans ate it up. But that's one of the really cool things about the Pinty Series is how hard these guys race every single lap, every race.
Alex will join us here on the show in just a moment. Finishing behind Alex, Kevin Lacroix, LP Dumoulin, JF Dumoulin, and Anthony Simone. Tags now has a 14-point lead in the championship standings over LP Dumoulin with 3 races to go. And Alex Tagliani, the race winner, will join us after the break.
Grunt Style. The American fighting spirit is in everything we make. We are 500 patriots and veterans strong, bringing clothing manufacturing back to the United States of America. Always moving forward, never retreating, never giving up. We are Grunt Style, and this we'll defend. Get yours at gruntstyle.com or on the track this week at Darlington Raceway.
I'm former crew chief and STP auto expert Steve Letarte. Does your engine feel like it's down on power? It could be caused by deposits on fuel injectors, engine valves, and combustion chambers. An easy way to help clean up your fuel system and restore lost power is through the gas tank with STP Ultra 5-in-1 Fuel System Cleaner. One bottle contains 3 times the amount of cleaning agents versus the leading premium gasoline to help keep your engine running strong. STP, inside every great machine.
One bottle contains 3 times by weight the amount of cleaning agents and 35 gallons of the leading premium gasoline.
This is NASCAR Coast to Coast, brought to you by Hercules Tires and by Grunt Style. Here are Kyle Rickey and Hannah Newhouse.
It's always a great visit to Canada for the Motor Racing Network crew, especially when NASCAR's in town. And sadly, Mother Nature canceled the action for the NASCAR Whelen All-American Series at the Sunset Speedway. But we made up for it the next day with the NASCAR Pinty Series in action at the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, the lead-in to our NASCAR Camping World Truck Series broadcast. And for the second time in just a couple of weeks, it was Alex Tagliani picking up the race win in the NASCAR Pinty Series. He joins us on the guest line now. Alex, congratulations on the win. A great race to watch from our standpoint. How was it from the seat of your race car?
Thanks, guys. Yeah, it was amazing. You know, believe it or not, we have not won CTMP since I joined the series, and trust me, it was a race that the 22 Racing team wanted so bad. I could see in the face of the guys, they were pretty nervous going in and wondering if we were to get another DNF or a bad luck in a winning position. So it was a well-deserved win for all the boys and the guys that work at the shop. I think, I think that track, owes us, a few more, and but it was good to get the monkey off our back.
Now, you finished 14th at this race earlier in the year, but last year you had a runner-up finish, second place. What was the difference between those races that helped you guys secure that win this past weekend?
Yeah, the May race, the season opener at CTMP, we were leading with 3 to go, and we had an upper link failure. Last year, a few years back, we also had we were in the lead and we had a power steering issue. I think we had that twice happening, the power steering issue from the lead. So it was not the first time we were in a position to win, but finally we closed the deal. It was the only road course in the series that I didn't win. And finally we won it. Over the last 3 years, I would say the car has been becoming better and better. The team's working really hard. We made some major changes on our car last winter, and it improved. And our series is so competitive. When you look at the lap time we started to run at CTMP 3 years ago, cars have not changed. Tires have not changed. We improved, I think, 1.5 seconds, similar to Toronto, Indy. So it's just if you're sitting back and you're thinking your stuff is good, you might have some surprises when you rejoin the season. So it's just a team effort, constant working on the car, making it improvement, and make sure that we keep our stuff updated, and that made the big difference.
You mentioned how competitive this series is, and we talked about it before the break. The final 10 or 12 laps of the race on Sunday, top 5 or 6 cars, nose to tail, lap after lap. How much of those final laps were you watching your mirror as Kevin Lacroix and LP Dumoulin and JF, they were all closing in on you?
Yeah, the last couple of laps, obviously, they were they were very interesting. You need to push, but you also need to save your stuff, because it seems like, always a yellow flag comes up in the last 10 laps of the race, and then if you tear your stuff down and you need to have a restart, you might be a sitting duck. So it was just try to balance the performance of our lap and maintaining enough gap not to get the bumper. But like you're saying, the series is very competitive at the moment. We didn't have a good qualifying session in GP3R. We won the race, but less than a tenth of a second between the top 5 guys in qualifying. So on a road course, it shows how tight everything is, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun to have that sort of challenge from everyone, and I just hope that it's going to continue this way.
Now, one of the things that I kind of watched was pit stops played a huge part in, helping decide who was going to come out on top in this race. What pit stop strategy do you guys play, and how do you feel like that played into helping you guys capture that win?
Yeah, so the race distance is 51 laps, just enough to not being able to do it on one tank of fuel. So you have to fuel. You're allowed, or you have access to a set of tires in the race to our series. We're not allowed to fuel and tire at the same time. So we first of all, we started third. We got into second pretty quick. We fight with Angel Ranger, and it was really important to try to pass to lead a lap. And it took me too many laps to pass. It took me 13 laps to get in the lead, and we led a lap. And the lap after, they called us in the pits to put fuel on the green. We didn't want to get caught up with a yellow. And when we came into the pits, we were slowed down by a guy that was not really maintaining pit speed limiting. So we were slowed down a bit in the pit lane. We lost the position there. Later on, we came in on a yellow with everybody in the pits to do tire change, and the guys got us some position. So the crew did an amazing job on the second stop. We restarted 11th, and then we restarted third. We got into the lead, and after that, the last two restarts were from the lead, and we just managed to bring it home.
Weekend as a whole kind of saw a curveball on Saturday with rain canceling qualifying. The lineup was set on practice speeds. How much did you guys anticipate that Saturday morning during that practice session, knowing that weather might be an issue?
Yeah, it was the tricky part was to try to throw a setup in that was not going to be very good on the dry, but that was going to be better maybe in the wet, knowing that we might have a chance to race in the morning of Sunday in the wet. That was the most tricky thing to decide. And finally, we went with a setup that was, 80% towards complete dry setup. And I think was the right decision. Once we saw in the morning that we were going to be able to complete the race in the dry, that was really good. On another side, the fact that I think it was a good call not to qualify, because we just don't have the proper rain tires in our series to be able to run a track like that in qualifying. Our format also is different than the other series, so we have 3 groups of qualifying. And if the track is drawing, it makes it unfair for a lot of the cars. When you have everybody on track at the same time and you start dividing the groups after one attempt on lap time, then at least everybody has the same track conditions and it's fair. So overall, I think it was the right decision because of our rule and because of our tires not to qualify. But I would vote for sure to look into bringing some similar rain tires than the other series have, and or have access to, and maybe changing our rule so we can run in the wet, for the fans.
An interesting twist that road racing always brings, that weather. It seems like we're going to struggle with it at Mid-Ohio earlier, also Road America, and then this past weekend at Canada. So one unique thing, obviously, about road course racing. But we look ahead of the schedule for you guys. And not this weekend, but the next weekend, kickstarts the last 3 races for you guys of season, and they are all oval tracks. And the next race you guys actually go to is a track that you are winless at. Is this win that you're going to take from Canadian Tire Motorsports Park maybe give you the confidence going onto an oval like that?
Yeah, I think we've been very consistent on the oval. We managed to stay out of trouble. Finish on the podium 3 times, and most of the time all top 5 as well. So we have like 2 races that we had a 4 race weekend on one oval and a DNF at CTMP. Other than that, up to those 2 races, or about just those 2 races aside, we're in the top 5. So I think with 3 races to go, I mean, top 5 is not good enough. We need a win to close the gap, and that's what we're going to aim for. I think our team is strong enough to raise the bar and to keep putting pressure on LP. And you know, he's been fortunate. He's been lucky. He's been at the right place at the right time. And not too many issues on his side. Hopefully, if we start, you know, cranking pressure on, maybe something's going to happen and we get evened up in regards of DNF and issues, and we can bring the championship all the way to the last race.
14 points out of the lead right now. Alex Tagliani joining us on the guest line. 3 races to go, including a race at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, the series' first ever visit to America here at the end of September. Alex, thank you for taking the time to join us here. Congratulations on the win, and we will see you in New Hampshire in just a couple of weeks' time.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
Alex Tagliani joining us here on NASCAR Coast to Coast. Coming up, we preview the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour race coming up this weekend at Oswego Speedway. They're back on track, and series veteran Timmy Solomito will join us to talk about it after the break.
Chris Crockett here with another member of our Toyota racing family. Reggie, you've taken tailgating to new places. You've converted this school bus into a giant brisket smoker?
Yeah, it's table stakes, Chris. Oh, you see that? That's my lookout tower, so I can see Kyle Busch taking the lead.
Wow, what's the cage for?
That's for the tailgaters.
Oh yeah, that's a real alligator. NASCAR and Toyota Racing. With a family like this, who knows the places we'll go as things heat up this summer. Learn more at toyotaracing.com. Toyota, let's go places. NASCAR is a registered trademark of the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing, Inc.
I'm former crew chief and STP auto expert Steve Letarte. Does your engine feel like it's down on power? It could be caused by deposits on fuel injectors, engine valves, and combustion chambers. An easy way to help clean up your fuel system and restore lost power is through the gas tank with STP Ultra 5-in-1 Fuel System Cleaner. One bottle contains 3 times the amount of cleaning agents versus the leading premium gasoline to help keep your engine running strong. STP, inside every great machine.
One bottle contains 3 times by weight the amount of cleaning agents and 35 gallons of the leading premium gasoline.
This is NASCAR Coast to Coast, brought to you by Hercules Tires and by Grunt Style. Here are Kyle Rickey and Hannah Newhouse.
Welcome back to NASCAR Coast to Coast. The NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour got a well-deserved week off this past week after 3 consecutive weeks of racing in the middle of the week. A Friday night at Stafford, a Wednesday night at Thompson, and a Thursday night at Bristol. They'll be back in action this coming weekend at Oswego Speedway in New York. And joining us now on the guest line, the driver that currently sits 3rd in the championship standings, Timmy Solomito. He joins us here on NASCAR Coast to Coast. Timmy, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me on, guys. How's everything?
We are doing great. Looking forward to seeing you guys back on track this weekend. Before we look ahead, though, let's talk about the last 3 weeks. 3 races in the middle of the week. How much of a test is that to a lot of these race teams, especially teams that depend on guys to get out of, say, full-time jobs to get to the racetrack to help you guys?
Yeah, August is always tough for our series. Between the 3 races right on top of each other, getting time off work, and bosses understanding that racing is pretty important, it becomes pretty tough. So, it just goes to show you the commitment level and the interest that everybody has in doing what we love. And, it's always great to see. So I personally enjoy the month of August, but I wish I could race like that more often. But definitely is a tough one for everybody.
A lot of those modified teams were enjoying that time off, but at the same time, I know there's no lack of modified racing up in the Northeast, so even with the off weekend, I'm sure plenty of you found racetracks to go run at. But 3rd in points right now in the 2018 season, and it kind of looks similar to where you were last year as well. You went into Bristol last year with that points lead, but this year has been a little bit different for you. Last year you said you had 5 wins and something like 6 poles, and you were winless so far in 2018. What has been the difference for you guys between last year and this year?
I think, I'm not really sure. I wish I knew. But, I just think every year everybody gets better. Everybody steps up and everybody, finds that little bit of edge. And, for the last 3 or 4 years, we've been the team that's, been competing with Kobe and everybody else up front, So, I wouldn't say that we're not there, but we're not where we want to be. And we know that as a team, it's certainly not something that we're hiding, and it's not from a lack of effort at all. My team's been working very hard, and they've been preparing really good race cars. We had a really good run going at Bristol, and I just got after it a little bit too hard and ended up spinning around, and luckily we didn't hit anything, but we've had some speed. We just haven't had the speed that some of these other guys have right now, and some years you have that. So we're working hard. We're trying a few things, and I think we'll find ourselves back up there shortly. It's just we're just trying to find that little bit of speed, that little bit of comfort that we need, and sometimes it takes a few races to get.
To bounce off of Hannah's question, and you may or may not know the answer to this, but the one constant in the top three over the last several seasons is you. You're still up there among the top three, currently third in points, but there's some new guys ahead of you, including Justin Bonsignor and Chase Dowling. But as far as Justin is concerned, have they hit on something this year, or has he just had better luck than the rest of the guys in the field?
No, I mean, they've certainly hit on something. I mean, look at Justin's year last year. He was anywhere from a 5th to 15th place car, and that's kind of where we find ourselves right now, is anywhere between 5th to 12th, 15th. So sometimes you just have those years. You got to regroup and reset everything and start fresh. And that's what the 51 team did this winter, and it's paying off for them. So. I would certainly say that they found something. Justin's, very talented and has, a lot of seat time, and he's very good at driving. So, you knew it was just a matter of time before they hit on finding the right combination and being in the front. So, it's just everybody's got to catch up now. So that's what's great about the Well Modified Tours. There's so many teams out there that they push so hard to become the best that they possibly can that everybody has to keep stepping it up, keep up with them. So, we've seen it with Kobe in years past. Our team has always been, stepping it up and trying to become better and better. And, there's no difference now. We're working really hard. We're changing things, constantly changing things and trying to get better. And I'm hoping that these next couple months here before the season's over, we can show that we found some things and going to 2019, looking forward.
And speaking of going into 2019, there's only a handful of races left on this year's schedule. You're roughly 90 points behind Justin Bonsignor, who's leading the current championship. Do you guys look at the rest of the season as being too far out to contend for that championship and just hunt for wins? Or do you guys genuinely feel like you still have a shot at maybe capturing that championship?
No, I mean, absolutely. We always go out there and go for wins no matter what. Unless you're really leading the points, you're really just going out there to try and win the race. And, 90 points is a big spread. He's got to have a couple really bad weeks, and we'd have to have some really good weeks. And not saying that it can't happen, but it's not looking in our favor right now. So we're basically just building on trying to win races and be fast, be competitive, and we're basically starting on 2019 now. We're a little bit behind schedule here in 2018, but we're looking forward to trying to turn the program back around and focus on the rest of this year and the start of 2019.
5 races to go, including the Oswego Speedway this weekend. 2 previous races there for the Modified Tour. A second-place effort for you a couple years ago, a third last year. Your thoughts in getting back to Oswego here this weekend?
I think Oswego is a great racetrack. It's very racy, pretty cool with the inside-outside wall, and there's a ton of history at that track. So it's cool that they have us on the Classic weekend, and everybody that comes out for that race, so they're all pumped up for modifieds in general and super modifieds and whatnot. So always cool to get up there, see everybody. I'm from New York, but we travel 6-7 hours to get up there, so it's kind of odd for me, but still pretty cool, to race in New York and to race at a track that's just got so much history. And the fans are really passionate about it, so I'm excited to get up there, and hopefully we'll put on a good race and a good show for the fans and have a good run.
Alongside Oswego, one of those races left on the schedule is Riverhead Raceway, and that's a racetrack that you are very familiar with. I know you captured a win there earlier this year, which I believe marks like 20 wins for you at that racetrack, but it was with the NASCAR Home Tracks program, that NASCAR Wheel and American Series. division. Not yet with the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Is Riverhead one of those racetracks that you circle on your calendar knowing that that's one that you have a shot at?
Of course. I mean, I think the last, I want to say 2 or 3 years, it's been really between Justin and myself and Eric Goodale, actually, that have won the races there. I think it's been a Riverhead local that's won that track, at that track for, I want to say 3 years or so. So, that's always one that I circle. I love going home to my home track, and, it's where you start, it's where you cut your teeth. It's, you feel comfortable. You just know the place kind of like the back of your hand. So, I guess it's kind of similar, for like Kobe and Dowling and everybody go to Stafford. That's my Riverhead pretty much. So, always look forward to going there and having some fun. And it's a tight quarter mile, so it's always some bumping and banging, which I'm pretty used to. So, certainly one that I circle on the calendar, and hopefully we can get a win or a really good run there.
And there's another race at Stafford Speedway this year, along with the Thompson Speedway. But I think the race that most are talking about, and we'll wrap up the conversation with previewing what is dubbed the richest and longest race in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour history, coming up in September at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, 250 laps. What do you think we're going to see for 250 laps? I think there's a lot of people thinking that you're going to see a long 100-lapper where you guys are swapping the lead every lap, sometimes twice a lap, but part of me believes that that's probably impossible to do for 250 laps around the Magic Mile.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think anybody really knows what to expect. You're going to, a very big track with a lot of laps, and, that's not something that we typically do. So it'll be interesting for sure. The last race that we had there this year, 3 or 4 guys kind of checked out from the rest of the pack. So, hopefully it doesn't come down to that. Hopefully we can put on a really good show with, some lead swapping and some good drafting. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, between the spec engines and the drivetrain and everything, to see how well it holds up and, different strategies. I'm sure it's going to be a lot different than what most people are expecting. So it's kind of an unknown for everybody, but I'm sure there'll be a lot of cars there, and that could be a good point stay for any team that's looking to try and get back in the championship. Usually New Hampshire draws a very large car count, and if anybody that's up front or doing well in points has a bad day, it usually hurts you the most there. That's what happened to us last season. So, hopefully we can put together a really good package and find ourselves towards the front of the field.
That race coming up September 22nd at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Of course, the NASCAR K&N Pro Series East and the NASCAR Pinty Series will be there as well for a full day of short track racing at the biggest track that a lot of these cars will go to. Timmy, thanks for joining us here on the show, and best of luck to you this weekend in Oswego.
As always, thanks for having me on, guys.
Currently third in the championship standings for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, Timmy Solomito joining us here on NASCAR Coast to Coast. Coming up, we'll review the big weekend over the week, or at Gateway Motorsports Park over the weekend for the NASCAR K&N Pro Series East and West.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there. Whether you're running on dirt or running a job, our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
Grunt Style. The American fighting spirit is in everything we make. We are 500 patriots and veterans strong, bringing clothing manufacturing back to the United States of America. Always moving forward, never retreating, never giving up. We are Grunt Style, and this we'll defend. Get yours at gruntstyle.com or on the track this week at Darlington Raceway.
This is NASCAR Coast to Coast, brought to you by Hercules Tires and by Grunt Style. Here are Kyle Rickey and Hannah Newhouse.
And it is STP Race Week here on the Motor Racing Network as we get set for the Bojangles Southern 500 Throwback Weekend. Here coming up from the Darlington Raceway. For over 60 years, STP has been helping engines run better, longer, STP, inside every great machine. Kyle, Rickey, and Hannah Newhouse wrapping up this edition of NASCAR Coast to Coast. We've talked extensively on the show today about the NASCAR Pinty Series in Canada. The other big weekend, or the other big race over the weekend, the NASCAR K&N Pro Series East and West combination event at the Gateway Motorsports Park. They shared the spotlight with the Verizon IndyCar Series. And the West, Bill McAnally Racing, a lot of people may be surprised that they finished 1-2, but the way that they've been running this year, Derek Kraus claiming the win, Cole Rouse in second, I don't think there's much surprise there.
I really don't think there is either. And this is an event that actually started with Iowa, which has been a reoccurring K&N East-West combo, and this is the first year they've had those two combination races. It was always like the East guys were beating up on the West guys at this combination race, and we saw them really competitive at Iowa earlier in the year. So I don't think it was to anyone's surprise when they showed up at Gateway and just were competitive. The highest finishing East driver was fourth with Ruben Garcia Jr. in that Rev Racing machine. So it's awesome to see the field being evened out on both sides of the coast, so when we get opportunities like this to combine both series, it makes for a great playing field and good hard racing. So awesome to see Derek Kraus get that after an East winner. Tyler Ankrum, I believe, won at Iowa earlier in the season.
Chase Cabry rounding out the top 5 points in the East. Tyler Ankrum, 51 points up in the championship as they head to New Hampshire next month. In the West, Derek Thorne, a 25-point lead over Ryan Partridge. He might be happy, Hannah, though. He has that lead heading to the dirt track at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Probably the big wild card of that series for the entire season.
That's one that everyone has just circled. You know, they're announcing that there's a couple drivers that are going to be added to that entry list that aren't regulars in the K&N Pro Series West. Wouldn't be surprised to see a couple East guys show up as well. Like you said, what a monkey wrench to throw a dirt race in the middle of the season. So any cushion that a points leader can get into going into a race like a dirt track, I mean, Derek Thorne's got to be crossing his fingers and thankful for the finish he just had.
That race coming up in just over 2 weeks' time at the dirt track at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, part of a busy NASCAR weekend there. In the NASCAR Whelen All-American Series, 66 points separate Philip Morris from Keith Rocco. Tim Brown is third, Steve Carlson fourth. Hannah, this weekend, you're going to do some NASCAR home track racing at Hickory Motor Speedway. They have a big event out there.
Yeah, they do. If you get a chance before you head down to Darlington this weekend, the Bobby Isaac Memorial is happening out at Hickory. Draws a great crowd of late model stock drivers. You get them all the way from Myrtle Beach, up from Virginia, and your local Hickory boys. So always puts on a great show, great field of cars. So if you get a chance, come out to Hickory, watch some late model stock racing, and then head on down to Darlington for that throwback race on Sunday.
Josh Berry won the race a year ago. Hannah, enjoy the weekend out there. We'll do this again next week.
All right, sounds good. I'll see you next week.
For Alex Tagliani and Timmy Solomito, Craig Moore and Brian Yesowich are producers. She's Hannah Newhouse. I'm Kyle Rickey. We'll see you back here next week on NASCAR Coast to Coast.
Coast to Coast has been brought to you by Hercules Tires and by Grunt Style. NASCAR Coast to Coast can be found on demand at MRN.com, iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, and SoundCloud. NASCAR Coast to Coast is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.